I think the key word here is realistic. I don't think you should expect anything of anyone that you don't expect of yourself. So never have an unrealistic expectation. Once again, it's the balance. If you communicate, the balance will come automatically and the expectations will come automatically. And the key word in that is communication.
I think a general expectation in any marriage can be that the person will be by your side, no matter what, and they'll care for you. And that's it. And then they want your growth and they want your happiness. And I think that is a general expectation we can have, that we are there for the other person. And I think that's enough. But when we expect too much and too much and too much, the only thing is you're going to be let down.
The primary thing why you get married is that you want to be closer to Allah through the Ahlul Bayt, and that other person needs to help you achieve that goal. I think that's the primary expectation. How you're going to get there, how you're going to do it, that's a secondary feel, I think. That should be the primary goal. If they're not able to take you there, if they're not making you closer to Allah, then I think there's something wrong. That's the way I judge my marriage.
I married to have a friend, to have a lifelong partner that I can share happiness with, share children with, if God had allowed us to have children, and He did, alhamdulillah, and to share that love, really. And that's what I was expecting. And that person had to have that fear of God and that love of God.
You'll be disappointed. It's human nature to be disappointed when your expectations aren't met. At the right time, you need to voice that. You need to let the other person know, look, today was Mother's Day. I did expect breakfast in bed. You know what? I was really disappointed that I had to wake up, make my own breakfast, then make lunch for everyone. Then we took your mum out for Mother's Day dinner, but what you're forgetting is that I'm a mum as well.
Well, I think that no one tells you when you're engaged you must manage your expectations, because you're absolutely on cloud nine. You think that your spouse is the best person in the world. No matter how many times people will advise you and say that, it's not going to be all rosy, you just don't believe them. You actually don't believe them. But of course, when you do get into marriage, of course, expectations of yours are not going to be met. I think that a way to do it is communication, or see, can that expectation be met?
So if someone, for example, the man goes, oh, I've got, savings and finances will be secure, I've got this and that, and anyway, he paints a picture. I'm very kind, I'm decent, I won't upset you. And then you get married, suddenly he goes, oh no, those finances are kind of locked away somewhere, I don't want you to do this. Or he goes, you can work before marriage, and then after marriage he goes, I don't want you to work. Those are more like lies, or they've tricked you, for example. And in that case, that's a red line. You were told something and then that didn't happen. Whereas you expected something and that person didn't offer you anything, he didn't say anything, but you had this mindset, oh, this is going to be wonderful, I'm going to be a princess and a happily ever after, then a reality check sometimes is important.
Sometimes the expectations do. So some people say just don't have any expectation. I'm not saying that, okay? Don't have a marriage without expectation, but have expectations which are easy to meet. And if you've got some crazy high expectations for a certain day, voice it. Mother's Day I like this, so make sure on my birthday you do this or whatever. So we know, right? Don't expect us just to know. It doesn't work like that.
Especially if you set your expectations too high from the very get-go, or you have a certain mindset that you're going to have this prerequisite in a person, in your spouse. They might have that quality initially, and then it might change, or they might not have it at all, and you expect something that was never there.
Yeah, I agree. So, like even if you think about physical appearances, if you just have that expectation, obviously your wife is going to become a mother, then she's going to have the child, and then again, you'll have other kids. So it's just, not thinking about these superficial things, focusing on, the greater good, which is getting closer to Allah and using the Ahlul Bayt to do that.
They can lead to disappointment if you are emotionally attached to these expectations, or sometimes if you have fair expectations and, they are unmet for whatever reason. Of course, they can lead to disappointment, but the disappointment should not be the measuring gauge of right or wrong. You have to think about your expectations. You have to be realistic about them. And life changes, circumstances changes, and therefore expectations can sometimes change.
When you fall in love with someone, you think they are perfect. And then circumstances will obviously speckle those black dots on that perfection. But I mean, if you just look at any artwork around, unless it's just a pure white background, all modern art has splashes here and there. So I think perfection is really subjective.
Never going to get there. And if you expect someone to be perfect, you always be let
But
down.
I might be happy with you just being perfect the way you are. Like, sometimes forgetful, sometimes not. And that is just life. It's just life. You just got to embrace it and accept it.
Never forget. What is it?
Rewatch it.
I don't think anyone can be perfect.
Let alone your spouse.
So I don't think that's the right expectation you should have when getting married. Everyone has their flaws, but it's how you deal with those flaws and how you grow as a person. And when you initially meet them, you'll know if you're compatible. I think it's more if you look at it from a compatibility perspective as opposed to perfection.
And perfection is boring, overrated.
If you expect your partner to be perfect, then that you might have got that 2,000 years ago, 1,400 years ago, the Prophet and the Imam, but no one is ma'soom as far as I know right now. So forget that. When you say perfect, I'm assuming you want them to be a good person, an Islamic person with high morality and ethics and good behavior. Then yes, you should expect that 100%.
I see that you'll always be a little disappointed, right? Because you'll go into there, and we always go into there thinking things are going to be amazing, right? And then real life hits, and we have, kids and money problems and maybe job issues and whatever. And then a different part of our spouse comes out, and we're like, you know what? You were different before, and why are you different now? So understand that it's not always going to be great. Life's like that, right? Like your heart rate up and down. If it's like that, you'll be dead. But everyone expects life to be quite flat. It's never going to be flat. There's always going to be ups and downs. There will be times when you're disappointed. It's okay to be, just like in any other part of your life, right? You'll never be pleased all the time. But understand the disappointments are only there so you can learn something from them.
I suppose it goes back to that saying, marriage is a bed of roses, but even a bed of roses has thorns.
I think that if you've just got married and then you just realize straight away that no, this is not what I expected at all, then I think that you should go back and remember what it was that first brought you together. What is it that you liked about that person such that you wanted to marry them? And then that will hopefully kindle some of that lost spirit there. And also think of it as a jihad almost. Marriage is not easy, and sometimes it's difficult at the best of times.
And not thinking about the concept, always throwing in the towel, that word divorce. The Western people throw that word quite out there. And if you have that in your mindset, you're going to end up there. So just forgetting about that concept, forgetting about the thing that I can throw in the towel, thinking about it, how can I make it work? If you have that mindset, then I think this post expectation in a marriage period, you'll be able to overcome that.
You have to assess, what was your expectation? Was it realistic? If your expectation is fair and sensible and it's quite disappointing, then first and foremost, make dua. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives you the peace of heart, that He gives you the peace of mind, that He helps you resolve this issue. And secondly, if the whatever is giving you disappointment persists and you feel is causing a strain in your relationship, if you feel that it's degrading or devaluing, then you need to take action. You need to do something. That action could be speaking to your family, it could be speaking to your partner's family, it could be seeking external help. I mean, again, you have to talk about it.
Every circumstance is different, that's true.
And every individual
no one's divorced straight away. You do need to discuss everything. So, but do not accept anything below the Islamic standards.